worried that you might be the cool kid? You wear the latest fashions on top of all the trends. Or have you ever worried you were too much in the mainstream? Always so generic, more normal than your friends. Well, we've devised a test to put to rest your fears. There's no need to panic if you lend us your ears. Tonight you can't sleep easy after all that you've heard. Cause if you like the show, then you're probably a nerd. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all. Tyler, Phil, and Boris. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all in Canon.
It's Monday. You know what that means. It is time for a new episode of the It's Canon podcast. The podcast where we talk about all things geek. The podcast where we talk about all things nerd. The podcast where we talk about all things pop culture. The podcast where we talk about anything and everything because as the show title says, it is all in canon. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, and happily, I am joined by Phil.
Who are you and what have you done with Boris?
And Tyler.
I feel I just realized how much I've turned into an old gentleman of leisure since getting property. The point where I realized I am drinking port from a tulip glass and wearing a cashmere sweater. So
That is
I don't
amazing.
even know what's happened.
That's amazing. And your volume is all low again. God damn you,
Oh, it's
Tyler.
all low.
Oh, there you
Look,
go.
like,
Crazy concept, talking into mics. Man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Well, we are back. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for catching us, for finding us, for giving us a 20th chance, it seems like. But we're back. We're back for good. Before we get started, before we get into the business, into the meat and potatoes, into the entree, we're going to start with a starter, a little appetizer, and we're going to talk about exactly what happened. So basically, real life happened. Honestly, it's been crazy. I want to thank Phil and Tyler for trying to, continue the show while I was gone. But Tyler, busy, demolishing things, homeowner, rebuilding stuff, trying to make a life for himself. Phil, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Doesn't matter. But honestly.
I figured out I couldn't do a show alone.
Phil is like, guys? Hello?
I need therapy. Where's my therapy session?
I know, right? But it feels awesome to be back. We've been talking for about the past 3 weeks about coming back. And, the number one thing that I wanted to do is to make sure that when we did come back, it wouldn't be like an episode here, an episode there. We want to make sure that we deliver content each and every week. So we had a little team meeting yesterday. We decided Monday is going to be our new night to record, our new night to release episodes, and we're gonna be powering through the holidays. We're gonna have an awesome Christmas special. If you listen to last year's Christmas special, it's gonna be similar to that. We're not doing the 12 days of Christmas because I am not putting myself through lower decks again just yet. And I think the guys can agree and be happy about that because that would be the worst way to come back to this podcast.
I mean, I have heard no one say, wow, glad I stuck with that show. And I've heard, I don't know anyone who watched season 1 and stuck around for season 2. So.
Oh my God.
I know a lot of people who watched season 1 and didn't know there was a season 2.
Sure.
I actually have people that watch season 2 excitedly.
Do they listen to the show?
My mind.
Do they listen to the show?
Some of them, but
well,
I know that they know that we don't like it. I know they know that I don't like it. So
right. So we're not doing the 12 Days of Christmas, but we will be doing something with Lower Decks Season 2, probably giving it an upper decker at some point. But the reality is, we will be doing our Christmas show. If you listened to the show last year, it's going to be the same format where we gift each other something to watch. and we're going to talk about it and just have some booze and have some fun. Booze, not boobs. Booza. You can have all the boobs you want. I don't care. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But that's going to be a Christmas show. And then, we're going to, like I said, we're going to be powering through. We're going to split up the best and the worst of 2021 into 2 episodes. And that's essentially going to be coming out Christmas and New Year's weekends. And then, right in the new year, we're going to continue. We have some awesome specials, some cool specials we've been planning for a while. We're going to deliver those. We have some interviews lined up. Honestly, I'm super excited, and I'm really excited to be back. I don't know about you guys. Tyler doesn't look too excited right now on cam, but I'm excited.
I was actually pulling up an Excel file that I was like, all right, we're going to have a fun little teaser because of one of the stories we're apparently doing today. And I was like, I should pull that up, and then decide oh yeah, I have to focus to pull it up in time. And instead of just letting me pull it up, we're now here. We've now gone through this whole rigmarole. You all have seen behind the curtain. You realize how much all of our entire reality is contingent upon Excel files.
Yup. Literally. I don't know what I would do without Excel. Use a calculator. That's what I would do. But yeah, it's just freaking crazy.
I'm just laughing at this. Boris has gone on about booze. And what happened? Tyler's in a cardigan, drinking port and getting bagged. And then there's me. I don't know. What do you want to know? What have I been up to?
I was literally going to you and say, hey, Phil, what have you been up to the past few months?
I've been watching a lot of TV, a lot of movies, and playing a lot of video games.
Right.
Honestly, this has been, I know for some people, maybe it's a sleeper season or exciting season. I don't know. There's Battlefield and there's Call of Duty, and we all know that Mr. Phil doesn't play those games, but I had a nice Forza Horizon 5 release. I, got surprised with some Halo Infinite, so I can see new ways that 343 is now ruining Halo. But actually, no, it plays like Halo multiplayer should play, I guess.
Yep.
It's basically, ticking the bar of meeting certain criteria for video games. But beyond that, I've been exploring a lot of Game Pass and playing my PS5.
Yeah, very nice.
Just want to say.
Yeah, we're going to talk about PS5 in a second, so we'll put a pin on that. Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I'll definitely recommend that the Guardians of the Galaxy video game might be one of the best things I've ever played.
Yeah, you were really enjoying that one. Really enjoying it.
I really enjoyed the storyline. I thought the gameplay was I thought it was one of the easiest games I've ever.
Yeah, it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. There are mechanics in it that I do not enjoy at all. But I enjoyed the entertainment value that it brought me. I can only speak for me. The writing, the delivery, the whole aspect of the Guardians of the Galaxy in this type of light was a game changer for me. I enjoyed it. And I had to stop myself from overindulging in it. I still haven't finished it because I just play it for little bits at a time until I get annoyed.
Right.
But I'll say good things.
I finished it already. It is one of the cleverest. I'm not saying best. I'm saying cleverest for a reason. It's one of the cleverest endings I've seen in the game.
Very nice. What's interesting is that I haven't played it just yet. I'm going to play it probably in this little break that I have. But what I've heard, and you guys can squash this, and that's essentially Avengers was kind of like a test pool like a beta version of them just getting used to shit, and Guardians of the Galaxy was like the actual first game that Square Enix released in the Marvel titles.
I mean, I think that's a fun little conspiracy theory, but looking at server costs alone for Avengers, like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I'll put it this way. The Avengers video game was made by Square Enix, yes, but I forget which studio. What was it? Crystal Dynamic, or I don't know what studio
I
of
think it was
Square Enix. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Eidos Montreal, who did the Deus Ex games in the past,
Yep.
they did the Guardians of the Galaxy. I can say between the two studios, the Eidos Montreal studio got it right. Put it that way. I can see exactly what you're saying about the whole concept that that is a conspiracy theory, in my opinion. I think that they gave
I'm
two
not saying-
studios equal.
I'm not saying
opportunity.
that this was a deliberate thing. Like,
No,
was a-
but I
like,
could-
But there was the
it's-
things that.
I can see how people would arrive at that because Avengers didn't work. It didn't feel good. Guardians of the Galaxy does. So it would be easy to draw that. I don't know, that the whole idea that one was a beta for the other. But I think they were made in vacuums.
I mean, I would argue that it's almost blatantly apparent how much those two teams did not talk to.
Yeah. Because
'Cause-
there's no gameplay dynamic crossover.
Not even that, like, it felt very much like the team who made Avengers was trying to recapture the MCU movie.
Mhm.
Right.
Whereas the team that made Guardians, fucking put on an 80s playlist, drank a bunch of Tab, read a bunch of Guardians comics, and then we're like, all right, let's take the greatest hits of Guardian history.
As well, I'm going to give it strong points for reminding me of Mass Effect. Because it has that gameplay dynamic of being able to choose things. And one of the things I was telling Boris early on about, no spoilers or anything, but there is a point in the game at which you can choose to sell one character or sell the other character. And in my game, I changed my mind over what I had announced to my team, and I did a swap and sold one of the characters that I didn't think I was going to sell. And then I saw an online thing. I got stuck on something and I watched a video online and they did the other storyline and it was completely different. Now I get where they're going to end in the same spot. Like I get that there's a dynamic of the overarching story isn't really affected, but it really impressed me that early on in the game that there was such drastic gameplay consequences.
Yeah.
And story consequences. And I like the story much better on you're going to sell, the first character you were going to sell.
Yeah.
So you have to sell either Groot or Rocket.
Right. Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it does change that. I can say it changes either half of a chapter or an entire chapter.
Right.
It is what it is at that point, right? It is what it is at that point.
You just live with it.
I wish more games were brave enough to be like, yeah, we're just going to lock you out of a ton of content, depending on, right? Because it feels like a lot of games just are...
Cyberpunk did that.
Hmm?
Cyberpunk did that.
Yes. Well, it's one of the things I think Cyberpunk did decently well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like if we're going to go into that world, part of the issue there was it was not always... It was often very poorly signposted if and when those decisions were coming up. And it didn't... It felt a little bit like... was it Dragon Age 2? Where, like, you could have, like, your response would be like, no. And it would be like, the person would freak out. And you're like, whoa, that is not what I meant.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's the one thing that got me once with Cyberpunk. That's I'm doing the main story and doing the main story, doing the main story. Then I realize, oh shit, I just got locked out of like a third of the side quests. I'm like, motherfuckers.
Well, yes, that is a separate, like, major issue. Cyberpunk. They create, like, it is ostensibly a ticking clock
Mm.
that you're supposed to ignore, which is always like that's always a gameplay flaw when you have it.
Yeah, and to your point though, I do like the bravery shown even by Cyberpunk,
Yeah.
right? Like for making that choice and putting you as a player in that position. But I'd rather take a 20-hour game that's replayable than give me a 60-hour game that takes away choice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather play that content again and go, I want to revisit this game in 4 months. And I'm going to play the crap out of it again. And I'm going to choose everything that I didn't choose.
Yeah.
In the other playthrough.
Because that was the issue I had with Biomutant, is that game gets long and quickly. But, like, one of the first decisions you make in the game, like, locks out half of the game.
Oof.
Wow.
Woof to that.
And it's very much like, and it's kind of disappointing because it's also a little bit of like, are you going to take the goody two-shoes route or the evil route? It's like,
right.
We all chose evil, right?
Yeah, I always choose evil. Funny enough, I don't know if I ever talked about this on the show or even to you guys. And I'm not trying to make light of this, but it kind of made me laugh. You know, when you get to the point where you have to, like, you know, make some very important decisions in the game, and the game can abruptly end because your character can off themselves.
sure. or the Breath of Fire endings.
Yes. Now,
Breath of Fire, it's like, no, I don't want to fight the final boss. And it's like, all right, the world ends. Cool. Anyways, have a good night.
Exactly. So, I had like a real dilemma, guys. I had a real dilemma with my choices. Because I feel like my choices in the way I played Cyberpunk was very similar to how I would, like, live my life.
Okay.
Now, I ended up offing myself. And I'm like, wow, I did not intend to do this. I literally went with the decisions that felt right in my mind. I think I need therapy.
That's a signpost.
Maybe.
Oh
Maybe.
my gosh.
I mean, I think everyone needs therapy. Every car
yeah,
needs
at
an
this
oil
point.
change. Everyone needs therapy.
Yeah.
Oh man, but
It's funny that video games do that. Like that's I haven't played through all of Cyberpunk because I played a lot of the beginning bits and I replayed it and I tried it on different platforms. And then I made a decision that I was going to wait until the next gen version comes out, which it still hasn't. So I'm like, all right, well, it's going to, when I get to it, it's going to be great.
In 2032, you're in a wait of like all the DLC. It is finally going to be what was advertised. I will finally sell my stock in the company.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But it was so funny though. Last night I was playing Horizon 5 with my crew, and the list of bugs that we have puts Playground Studios to shame right now. They launched a really good game the other week with Forza 5, but I gotta say, man, there's a ton of bugs. Like our daily double points aren't accumulating. It took 2 weeks for one of my barn finds to come in.
Is it getting right?
Yeah, the math isn't
right.
right.
Oh my god.
That's my favorite when that happened.
Yeah. And they get all of the challenges wrong. They tell you that you have to use a certain type of car and win the race, but then we found out you actually have to come in second, and then you'll get the perk will proc and stuff like that. So we're finding like tons of bugs like that. It's just so maddening because like last night I still didn't have my Ferrari, the 14th barn find, and it was wanting to charge me $32 million in game money to advance the push on it. And this has been 2 freaking weeks. I've been waiting for this thing. Every other one procced in a day. And it's just weird stuff like that I'm like, I'm not playing the game. Like I got early access for 5 days just because I bought the version that gives me that. And I played the crap out of it. Yeah, I finished the game. I've done every single story mission. I've done every single every unlock, every single thing in the game. I'm literally playing the weekly challenges and the seasonal stuff now.
Yeah. Well, there you
And
go.
I even joined another community based on it with Waz News. So
Oh,
I'm
there you
doing
go.
the old Patreon thing, man. Woo.
Fucking Patreon. Mind you. Whatever. Anything else, Phil? Anything else going on?
Oh, go watch Cowboy Bebop.
Or don't. We're on the
Or
podcast.
don't. You do you.
Or don't. You do you. You might enjoy it. I did.
Sure.
I'm sure we'll talk about it.
We will talk about it in a little bit. All right, Tyler, what's going on? What's going on in the life of Tyler? How's the East Coast, the right coast, treating you?
I mean, so today was the day that it became official we were on the. People who don't know, the East Coast of Canada is notorious for being rainy.
Yep.
So it has been raining. It's about 10 p.m. last night.
Oof.
It's just been raining. I mean, our house is heated by like a wood stove that's in the basement, so I'm like nice and warm, having a good time. But it is. Other than that, it's going pretty good. I got a Kickstarter on right now that is doing its best. We didn't, not doing as well as some of the initial numbers suggested, not doing as well as the marketing suggested, but we funded, and we're going to keep on keeping on.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Anything else you want
Why
to talk
don't
about?
you tell us about that Kickstarter, Tyler?
Tell you about the Kickstarter. It is a supplement for the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons called Oodles of Oozes, where it's all the goddamn oozes you could ever want in your Dungeons & Dragons game. We have stuff like multi-stage boss battles, which are not like a natural 5e, but we design... There's going to be 2 or 3 in the final manuscript. The third one is having significant problems in testing, and I have other stuff to put in instead. So we'll see if the third one gets in there. But like, you remember old video games where you had like phases to the boss battle?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have brought those back because why wouldn't you?
Right.
And they're super fun. There's a whack ton of magic items, a whack ton of like different monsters with a specific eye to making sure that as few of them are possible are ones where it's let's run up to each other and hit each other with objects just until one of our hit points is 0, and instead there's like derpy stuff happening.
Right.
One of my favorites is a slime that hangs out at the top of ceilings of rooms, and when you walk in it just drops down and it tries to just engulf your head around you. So, like, that is a bigger challenge for players to deal with than this orc is gonna stab me.
Yeah, exactly. I can see that.
What you go to Kickstarter to find this? What do you have to search your criteria? Just the oodles
You
of
will
oozes?
Search oodles of oozes. Kickstarter is a little bit derpy to use for its search and discovery. People are finding it, but how you find stuff on Kickstarter is a little bit of a black box. Like a lot of things, there's an algorithm. They aren't telling us entirely how it works.
Yep. That's one of the perks of Kickstarter.
Al Gore's
Kickstarter,
rhythm.
Facebook, Twitter. Who's to say?
Just get side-eyed by Boris.
No. No. Not at all. Not at all.
I thought the Al Gore's rhythm was enough to screw it up.
No, not at all.
Damn.
This is day 1. How annoyed could I get right now? Famous
True
last
enough.
words.
You're happy to be here.
Exactly. I'm very happy to be here. Though, having said that, my shoulder's hurting like a motherfucker right now.
Have you considered painkiller?
Yeah, I have. But
You
that's a
considered-
slippery slope. So, for those wondering, I have 2 fractures on my shoulder and a torn rotator cuff. Not sure what the remedy is going to be. Not sure if it's going to be surgery just yet. Don't really know what the next steps are, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Sucks,
Yeah.
man.
he's not like he doesn't have a sling or anything on.
Nope.
There's
No.
no cast.
Nope.
And for the audience who may not know, especially if you're from overseas, he's in Ontario, which is sure as heck trying to pretend it's not in the fourth wave.
Yes. Exactly.
Numbers are going up. Hospitals are like, we might not be able to take people.
Yep.
And the government is like, that's fine, open up.
Yep. Exactly. It's ridiculous right now. It's ridiculous right now here. But yeah, it's funny because even last week when I went to sit down with the doctor and listen to all the results, they're like, you should be in a lot more pain than this. Because then they with 2 fractures and a tear, it's like what the f. And honestly, I can honestly say I have no idea how this happened, and this isn't like a drunken night and I fell or something. Like I legitimately, I did not do that. I have no idea how this happened. It just happened, and it's a shoulder though that I've had injured so many times, so it's just like wear and tear probably.
So is it just like you sleep on it weird or what happened?
Who knows? Honestly, for all that I know, that's exactly what it was. But I don't know because I typically don't sleep on my side, but you never know. Like I've been sleeping so badly the past several months that literally anything could have happened. But yeah, so that's that. But yeah, no. Aside from that, honestly, everything is going fairly well. It's been super busy. The good thing is that I am pretty much off of work until January. Super excited about that. Get to catch up on my stories, my reality TV, my video games, my movies. What of you, Phil? Yeah, my reality TV. I haven't finished watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills this season. I'm still in the middle. I'm a few episodes behind on Vanderpump Rules. Still keeping up to date with my Below Deck.
Below Decks, that's the one. And you're ripping on Lower Decks, and you watch a reality show called Below Decks. Come on.
Below Decks, it's fucking yachties. Oh. Shut up. It's real stuff. Oh. Not this fake nerd shit.
Wait. Like for real, I don't know Below Decks is. This isn't a bit.
No.
Is this just like this is the staff of yachts and famous assholes are on them?
Yeah.
Okay, so my trivia team, not the trivia team I have now, the previous one before I moved, we had a former yachty.
Amazing.
And like the story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The stories apparently like having a rave with Scarlett Johansson, just like weird shit.
Yep. That's pretty much it. That's honestly, yeah. And that's the stuff that they show you on the show. It's they take a super yacht and it's one season.
Not even a yacht, like a super.
Yeah, super yacht. So it's 16 weeks, about give or take, sorry, 6 weeks, and it's just
that makes a lot more sense. Like 16 weeks means someone's getting murdered.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, I don't think they could. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, being out on sea for 16 weeks. Can you imagine? No, 6 weeks.
16 weeks. Don't go to the poop deck.
Pretty much 6 weeks. And the shit that they get up to, it's the worst of the worst of the worst of reality TV, and that's why I love every second of it.
He just Googled it.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I'm on the IMDb, and I'm like, so many blonde white people.
Well, why do you think I like the show?
Now I understand why I'm on the podcast. So many blonde white people. No, like seriously, it's like, white.
I saw a commercial and that was enough for me. I saw one commercial and I'm like, God damn it, it's not fake.
The only person who's not white is the chef.
Yep.
So I mean, they're doing something right. Like, look.
Oh man, that's bad.
Nah, this season, there's a lot of diversity. But yeah, it's taken us a little while to get here. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing, what I'm going to be doing over the next 6 weeks or so, 7 weeks. I don't even know how long exactly. But yeah, a lot to catch up on. But yeah, honestly, it feels awesome to be back, and we will be continuing, one show a week for now, and we'll see where this takes us. But let's talk about some stuff. I kind of want to use today kind of like as a catch-up, because there's some hefty, bits of things that I really want to talk about. So I think number one thing I want to talk about is the MCU. MCU right now is absolutely insane. From the ending of Loki to the Eternals being released, to Hawkeye being released this Wednesday on Disney Plus. I'm really looking forward to Hawkeye. I don't know about you guys.
I'm tentatively excited.
Phil?
I'm indifferent to it. I'm looking forward to being impressed. But if they can do it, like, honestly, Falcon and Winter Soldier, the base level was pretty low on that. WandaVision impressed me, but again, I didn't know what to expect. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I kind of knew what to expect, and it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. But it was still enjoyable. Loki overachieved for me. Hawkeye, I have 0. I don't care about the character. So I'm looking forward to maybe caring about the character or the character's replacement or whatever the story is going to be about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just like
I don't like. It's Christmas, and it's in Christmas. I don't like that when shows do that, because now every year every freaking person's going to be like, "Hey, you know what? Hawkeye's a Christmas movie, just like Die Hard's a Christmas movie," and then we got to go down that. What's that?
And Home Alone.
And Home Alone, exactly.
Which, think about it. You can pull out the Christmas, and only the last scene of that movie really changes.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, but even Boris did it last year in the Christmas special, Batman Returns, right? I loved it because I forgot that it was a Christmas time movie, but it puts it into a niche now where I feel like this year I gotta watch fucking Batman Returns because it's Christmas.
Man, you gotten really surly on this little time off, on this hiatus, Phil.
All I've had to do is had time to get angry about stuff.
Oh man.
No, it's just one of those things. I saw it. It's got Christmas music. It's got the trees. It's got all that stuff, and I'm like, it's like having kids in acting. Sometimes it just doesn't work. When it does work, it's great. But okay.
Interesting analogy. Hilarious analogy when you really think about it. Well, you were going to say something, Tyler.
I don't remember now, after Phil being like, kid actors should be murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I'm like, fuck kid actors.
No, it's when kid actors are bad, which most of them aren't very good. But there are performances that are great by kids sometimes, and those stand out to me, and I go, that kid did a good job, man. Like, that kid's really got chops to act.
Same can be said about
the
adults.
Good ones are good. The good ones are good. The kids, well, the same as with bad actors too, I guess. But I just find that when casting kids in movies, sometimes it's all based on their look and not their abilities.
Feels like Hayden Christensen deserved everything he got.
Exactly. That's all I'm thinking about.
Although, to reinforce Phil's point for a moment, y'all need to watch Newsies, because I just recently got reminded that Newsies exists, and no one is capable of performing what they're asked to in that movie, and it is a delight as a result.
I love Newsies. Actually, do you know who absolutely adores Newsies? It is his favorite thing in the world. Kevin O'Leary, the guy who writes our theme song.
Oh,
nice.
Good.
I mean, look,
Nice.
Christian Bale, as a very young man, I don't know if he's legally an adult or not in that movie. Like, his character's not, but I don't know if he's 18 or not. Is asked to sing and dance in an American accent.
Yep.
And goddamn it, does he show up?
Yeah. Yeah. Newsies.
Was unionized.
We went from Hawkeye to Newsies. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back.
We are back. We're officially back. But yeah, no, yeah. So Phil, tell us how else you hate children.
No, I love kids. I don't love kids. I just you know what I'm saying.
This
here.
is Exhibit A for future
Yes.
reference.
I will say this. Out of your list of Marvel achievements in the time that we've been off. We have not talked about Shang-Chi.
Yep. I was
And
going to talk about that.
That excellent, because that was a way better movie than I thought it was going to be.
Which one?
Shang-Chi.
Oh yes, I thought it was
was-
a really solid movie.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like we've been doing our whole little we have a Plex server with my friends and watching movies. Yeah, but I do have Disney Plus, so I did watch it in 4K. But we watched another movie too, and I'm just like, I kind of like Shang-Chi better because Shang-Chi.
What's the other
was-
movie?
I got to think about it now.
Eternals?
watching
Was
so
it
many.
Eternals? Did you watch Eternals?
No, Eternals. No.
Tyler, did you watch Eternals?
Oh,
yet?
the new James Bond movie. The new
No,
James
Oh, that
Bond
was
movie.
bad.
Really?
I liked it, but my friends liked it better than Shang-Chi. And I'm like, no, Shang-Chi was a better movie.
Interesting.
But-
I haven't seen it just yet, so I have zero stake in this game.
It divulged from the traditional James Bond.
Well,
arcs.
I know how it ends, so you guys don't have to. You know,
Well, other people might.
I don't give a
and
shit about
I
other
don't wanna
people right
ruin
now.
it.
my biggest thing isn't even that. My biggest thing, like, I am very fine with that ending.
Okay.
Except, like, I don't give a shit. I think that's a great way to end a run. That,
Yeah.
like, my issue is how much that earlier in this run we were very grounded.
Mm.
Number one. Number two, we also went from being an iconic character, which most James Bond movies, he's an iconic character, which means that basically, like, the previous plot is really not relevant. He doesn't go through an ongoing arc between multiple stories. He probably doesn't even really change this story very much. He just does the thing. That's an iconic.
Yeah.
And a serial character is like where you change and grow over the thing. And like all of the Daniel Craig movies are one story. And if you're gonna make that change, you need to lean into certain conventions with that. And part of that means is like you can't all of a sudden have nanotechnology that is 50 years beyond anything we're close to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, my rebuttal to that, well, aside from your very astute observation about storytelling and whatnot, but it's James Bond. Like, there's a dude with like metal teeth in the 60s.
But
Like,
it's
always been fantastic. There's always been fantastic villains and situations.
not since we did Daniel Craig.
Oh, without okay,
Daniel
fair
Craig
enough.
was a
That's-
very
that's the argument.
grounded series of movies.
In that point, you are correct. But
Yeah,
I didn't find that a transgression that I'm punishable by me.
my issue is the combination of we're going to do very serious and grounded. We're going to do very tied to reality for the most part. We're still going to have larger than life characters, but we're not doing an invisible car that can do flips.
Fair enough.
And then suddenly they were like, "Oh, by the way, magic nanotechnology."
Right. So they
Yeah.
essentially went the yeah, doesn't matter.
Well, they needed a story device, and they went a little bit overboard.
What-
I'll concede that, but at the end of it, it didn't change my enjoyment of it because of the journey and just the way that you ended a James Bond series. That's new, and I think that that's what most of the James Bond fans that I've run into are most happy about. That there's finality in it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the change was embraced during it. And that's what this movie, because like if you don't know, there's a point at which you meet the female James Bond. You know what I mean? Like maybe who knows if it is going forward, but we have this, officially transmutable, and the whole idea that at least was opened in the series where they're like, hey, guess what? James Bond or 007 can be a woman too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not this club and stuff like that. So, and by goodness, it's a black woman. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff that the James Bond people are celebrating from what I've seen, where
Well,
they're like, hey, this is
yeah.
different.
And then the Nazis and Steven Crowder and shit had a conniption fit. They were like, insane racist shit happened. It's like
Yeah.
when they were talking about Donald Glover being Spider-Man.
Yeah,
They went
exactly.
insane. Or I mean, I remember people freaked out at Idris Elba being Heimdall.
Yep. I remember that too.
Oh.
I remember the days when the world was young.
Yeah.
And everybody was blonde and white.
That's why Boris is watching Yachties again.
Exactly.
That's what hey, I'm not touching that one right now. Yeah, so Shang-Chi, good movie.
I also love the in Shang-Chi, the commitment to doing and continuing multi-movie subplots
Yes.
for minor characters that give them interesting and compelling arcs.
Yeah.
It redeemed an Iron Man movie, my goodness.
I mean, that was phenomenal. I thought that was a brilliant continuation.
I agree.
I also enjoyed Wong's continuing adventures.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm apparently in the minority of this, but I think that they are like committing to Awkwafina and Simu Liu's characters not being an item. Like they're committed to that not being a romance down the road.
Yep.
And I really hope they stick to that because I just like
It doesn't always have to happen.
Yeah, they can just be friends.
Yep, exactly.
Well, fair enough. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Guess what? I look forward to seeing at some point in the MCU the return of MODOK, just so Boris can be redeemed. MODOK on screen.
No, that's no. In less than a month, we're getting another MCU movie in the theater. That's Spider-Man: Far From Home.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. 4 weeks.
We got another trailer last week.
No Way Home.
Baby.
No Way Home. Sorry. I always get these homes confused.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah.
Phil, initial thoughts. What are you thinking going into this movie?
I won't be going into it in the theater, but anyhow, I will say that I'm excited to see it because I think the other two were fantastic for my money. I enjoyed them a lot. I find it interesting to see all the chatter from Tom Holland that this is the last time he's going to play Spider-Man, that you shouldn't be playing Spider-Man when you're over 30. And I'm just like, wow, I thought he was a kid who could act. Apparently he's a dude.
Yeah, I mean, if you see him he's separately an insanely talented actor.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm looking forward to seeing him in Uncharted, but just because that looks like an abomination from hell. But maybe it works. I don't know. But
maybe
Spider-Man,
it'll be one that you don't watch sober.
What's that?
Maybe it'll be one you don't watch sober.
Yeah, that might be. But I really like the story arcs that are going on in Spider-Man. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how this. I'm assuming there's going to be resolution. The Sinister Six is in it. We've got the drawback to, people are saying Tobey Maguire and Garfield and all this stuff are in it. So I know everybody's on this path of denial right now, and we don't know until we see it.
Do we want to do spoilers for the previous Venom movie?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because the previous Venom movie ends presumably during the spell.
Yeah.
Because the after credits is the Venom symbiote talking about different universes.
Yep.
And then they I'm brain-farting the specifics of it.
Yeah, because
basically they see Spider-Man and Venom's like, we gotta get that kid.
Yeah. Because they're kind of on vacation, doing their thing.
Yeah.
Watching TV, and boom, that's when they see J. Jonah Jameson's message from the last movie, and he's like, "Oh, this kid looks like a good meal," type thing.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen Venom 2?
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're talking about. That's how Venom 2
I thought you were talking about
ends.
the original Venom 2. Okay, interesting.
Which was the big surprise because it implies Venom 1 and Venom. Like, I mean, this is what very easily happens when you get multiverses and multiple dimensions and shit. Is just everything's canon now.
Yeah.
We have fulfilled the name of the show. Everything is that St. Elmo's No, Saint Elsewhere.
Saint Elsewhere.
Every single show is Saint Elsewhere. We are all the dreams of a child.
Yep. Saint Elmo's. You're gonna say Saint
Elmo's
Elmo's Fire.
Also a thing.
Yeah.
That is a wild movie.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. But Saint Elsewhere. Yeah. That's. But you know, it's to me, I find it hilarious, scary, funny, humorous that me, you, Kyle used to have this debate about whether the MCU or DC Extended Universe would have the balls to jump into the multiverse, just because at that time in 2015, 2016, it was such a foreign concept for the regular non-comic book reader.
I mean, I would argue the Flash TV show made it so everyone could.
Yep.
Right?
Agreed.
Because they did that, and they had a huge loss of audience. But like it was like the bag of chips was open, and it was easier for everyone else to do it after that, because we also now have the new Matrix movie, which really seems like it might be doing similar. With what those trailers are showing.
That was gonna be something we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about the Matrix next, actually. So let's just jump into that. Matrix looks very interesting. Like, you know, it's very, very much like it's you know, they essentially at the end of the original trailer, you said that, like, you know, this is just a repetition. This keeps happening, and we're kind of seeing that at this point. I mean, I forget what. Go ahead.
The end of 3 officially was supposed to be the end of. That was it. It was supposed to be the end of the cycle. It was supposed to be this wasn't going to be continuing to go anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, since then, we've also had the revelation of, like, the original concept was never human batteries. That never made any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
That was always stupid. And then there was the other revelation of it works really well if the entire first 3 movies, they still have not gotten out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right? It's just layered. It's just like there are multiple layers down. And he's like, yeah, you got up another level.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You have to keep going up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which may or may not get us back into it. And then you get back into wonderful Buddhism and what it started with.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to touch on, the whole Buddhism stuff of, like, you know, and whatnot. But yeah, no, for me, I'm excited, cautiously excited, I should say, about this new Matrix movie.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be one way or the other. Either going to be pretty good or it's going to suck.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I don't know where to put my money, because I was okay with the original trilogy, because at the time that was true originality in that space.
Yeah.
Like, just with the special effects and the storytelling, especially in the first movie, defied so much conventional stuff. Like, when you think of a 1999 movie, that movie stands out.
It's also one of the last movies that people went into blind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really remember that, but, like, the marketing campaign was like, what is the Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that was
exactly.
And like, the second movie had chops for me. The third movie fell a little bit, but only because it wasn't in the Matrix as much. You know what I mean? And that's, as a younger person, that's where I wanted to see the movie. Was I want to see Neo with superpowers. That's the payoff for me. When I plunk down my money and I go for 2 hours, don't tell me that he's going to be walking around blind for half the movie. You know what I mean? Like, that just really was just like, oh, his struggle is really getting me down. But then I came to appreciate the deeper stuff that was going on there. But you're right, the battery stuff was always weak. There's obviously a lot of stuff, like, it sounds very much like Inception, what you're describing here, where it's like, oh, you wake up out of another dream type thing. We can just layer you deeper and deeper into this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting seeing Lawrence Fishburne recast as a younger guy.
We don't know if it's officially recasting.
What's that?
We don't know if that's recasting or a new character.
Oh, yeah, we don't know. That's a speculation. Fair enough. But
there's a bunch of weird questions that are going to come up and be addressed at some point. But as someone who got, like, deep into the Matrix lore, like, you got to remember, there were, like, 4 video games that are technically all canon.
Yep. Exactly.
And one of them had, like, deleted scenes and, like, like not even like in engine, like deleted
Yep.
footage from the second Matrix movie and the third, and also had like the same, like, it would have been like a different camera angle of the same shot.
Was that the MMORPG?
No, that was
No,
like
the
the
one with
PS2.
Jada Pinkett Smith's character.
Okay. Gotcha.
It was
I
a great.
beta
It was a
tested-
great game with the one with Niobe.
I
Yeah.
beta tested the MMORPG.
What the MMO canonically is where Morpheus killed.
I didn't finish it or anything. I just did a lot of work.
Well,
on
it went
things.
longer than I think anyone kind of thought or realized it did. 'Cause it got like 8 seasons or something, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I stopped. Like Boris and I used to go around chewing up MMORPGs all the time. And we were famous for like shadow quitting it on the same weekend.
Yep.
Without even telling each other, like, I'm
Yep.
done with Star Wars. Me too. Done.
Funny.
Economy screwed.
Funny. Can you believe, Phil, that game is 10 years old now?
I know. I actually went back into it recently. I
That's
was
crazy.
like, oh my God, I don't want to be back here.
Yep, December 20th, 2011. Oh, man. What have I done in the past decade?
It's like one of my nieces plays World of Warcraft. And I'm like, that was like literally 15 years of my life. No. Like, she's describing these places and I'm like, yeah, I've been there. Nope, don't want to go back.
You were like, I was there.
Yeah, you know how they rebooted it last year? That was me first year. Like,
You
I'm
were
just
like,
like,
I've
yeah, they
walked
opened the
these
gate.
halls.
Exactly. I have been to Iron Keep. Don't worry.
I've seen things you people would never imagine.
Yep.
But it's so funny because she plays on the other side, and I'm like, wow, there's more people playing over on the orc side or whatever the hell it was. I forget
Horde?
the name of it. Yeah, and I'm like,
Funny how
yeah,
that
I
works.
was a
You know what
dwarf.
I'm going to do, though?
What are you going to do?
We're going to be seeing Matrix in theater.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
There's so many new cases there were in my region of Nova Scotia. This
3
one.
motherfuckers.
God damn it! You see,
11. No, it was 11 today for the entire province.
Crazy.
we're in the 700s, man. It's just freaking us out.
Well, I mean,
Freaking
I
me out.
have in-laws who are going to Nevada in January because that's where
Oof.
they're having their wedding. And it's like, hey, Nevada has like 100,000 new cases a day.
Yep.
And has like a population of 3 million.
Oh man.
Yep.
It's crazy. I just found out that somebody at my place of regular employment, the reason why he was missing for the past 3 weeks, and he lives on another continent, that he caught it, and it sounded like a not good time.
So
Yep.
it's bad out there still.
Yeah.
Really bad. Really, really bad. But yeah. All right. So talk some Matrix. All right. We're going to open up the can of worms, the proverbial can of worms. Talk some MCU. Kind of looking forward to Hawkeye, it seems like. We will be talking about Hawkeye in next week's episode. Their Wednesday releases makes it very interesting. So, spoiler galore. I'm saying that right now.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll be so late in the news cycle.
Yeah. All right. Star Wars. Tons
Ugh.
and tons and tons of Star Wars news. Phil, where should we start?
Oh, let's start at the ugly nugget that all the geekdom is talking about, and that is
Cancellation of movies.
Kathleen Kennedy has been renewed for 3
No
more
shit, she
years.
got renewed.
What's that?
No shit, she got renewed.
Of course
I
she's going to
know.
get renewed.
She gets money. She
None
makes
of this
money.
was her fault.
Yeah.
I know. I don't get, at this point, I don't get the fan outrage anymore,
Well, I
because
mean-
it's so easily dispelled when you crack that little idea that somehow Kathleen Kennedy wanted to ruin Star Wars, right? And actually she didn't. Okay?
She cares about it.
She cares about it a great deal, and Disney, to me, just didn't put the right people in the spots that they had to, and that's more than one person's responsibility. So anyhow, whatever the decisions were, whatever committee made them, thing is that those movies were successful. Could they be more successful? Maybe. But I don't think you're going to make everybody happy.
Yep.
I think you need to make changes in Star Wars, and that was one of the things, and she loves it. You
I
know,
mean,
as much as everybody wants to bag on her, she greenlit Mandalorian.
one of the other things that always gets me that no one talks about is like, you know who hired Kathleen Kennedy?
George Lucas.
George Lucas hired her.
Exactly. And she had the vision to put Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau together because they didn't know each other. You know what I mean? Like, and to go, hey, Dave's going to be a good director of live action one day, and I need him to be trained by a guy like John. That's called vision.
Yeah.
Like,
No, like take even just a moment to like look into this stuff. Like she is, I genuinely think one of the people who like, yeah, this is what a producer is supposed to do.
yeah,
Because we're in this
she's
modern era
legendary.
of like a lot of people get producer credits, and it's like, oh, you just like this is an ego thing. But they
Yep.
talk.
She's a legend in the industry. Like the movies that she's worked on, her whole career it's Hall of Fame. It's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Whether or not you liked Rise of Skywalker, whether or not you got a problem with, you know, Jedi, I don't like. That's neither here nor there. Unfortunately, she's the boss.
Well, I mean, not even that. The other side being like, would you rather that like they just crapped out increasingly derivative stories? It took a swing and
Mhm.
like it didn't land, and we tried some shit. And honestly, I mean, one of the biggest problems was how much those directors just loathed each other.
Yeah. You know, like the thing that she needs to fix is she needs to be better with her directors, especially when it comes to Star Wars.
Well, in my
Her track
understanding-
record with directors on these movies, but at the same rate, it worked, right? She's got the standard, and the Josh Trank, everything, like the Lord and Miller, the Benioff and Weiss, like all these guys, all are just the body bags laying at the feet of Star Wars directorially
Mhm.
is pretty amazing.
Patty
And
Jenkins
it's been
now.
happening through Patty Jenkins now.
Yep.
Like,
her Rogue
we're
Squadron
talking about
movie's
a lot of
been
people.
shelved apparently because of
Yeah.
and Ryan Johnson, even his planned trilogy has been shelved because of quote unquote creative differences. Don't even want to speculate what that could mean. That could mean a whole slew of stuff, right?
That could just be a scheduling problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the
Well, 'cause-
issue is that we all knew that was going to happen.
Well,
Like,
especially like Rian Johnson has is it a 3 or a 4 movie deal for Knives
yeah,
Out?
3.
3.
Yeah, so right, like, you know, why would he not take the thing that he makes a lot more money on? And it sounds like he enjoys a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guaranteed money for him, right?
That's what I'm saying, right? Is it's like, would you rather have a bigger slice of a smaller pie?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yes, I
it'll
would.
be easier. And
Yep.
you get to be in charge instead of, you know.
Taking, and let's be honest, like, we've talked about it on this show, like, the one thing that I wish Disney would do, but, it's kind of like a tit for tat type thing, and it's kind of allowing directors and creatives to be directors and creatives, because now you have this overarching story, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be the MCU, right? That you're kind of stuck in this scope of storytelling that you can't really get out of, because there's a larger story to be told, again, whether it be Star Wars or the MCU. We're kind of seeing this. We've seen this in more and more in the MCU. We're seeing this now in Star Wars, right? So it's just,
I think
you're going to
the
find
fans
some
expect
directors, you're going to find some creatives who just don't want to play in that playground, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But out of every, out of every group of directors and creatives that leave, you're gonna find a Dave Filoni, you're gonna find a Jon Favreau, right? Like, you're gonna find these people who just work
Or even
well in that
Waititi, right?
system. Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, because
Or even a Waititi, right? Because that was
Yeah.
one of Marvel's big finds when Marvel started being, and I think that's what Marvel did really well, is they were like, all right, we all have to stick to this meta plot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of room to play and have different genres with plot. And I would argue that's one of the problems Star Wars had, was they didn't want to do stuff outside of the Star Wars genre.
and that's the thing though, right? Is first of all, the fans demand Star Wars be Star Wars.
Yeah.
But secondly, now they're realizing that diversity is good, and these different storylines can be really good. And you don't necessarily, like, even Star Wars Visions showed us that you can go way off the canon path and still have a good time in Star Wars, right? Like that
Yeah.
Ronin episode, stuff like that. They've got a book out now for it, which is actually half decent. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in that Star Wars space, but you know, it all goes back to Mandalorian to me. Going, John Williams doesn't need to design the soundtrack for this. Other people know how to play the recorder in a bathtub too. Uh, but you know, like I'm just saying, like you can make each episode feel differently in a season. So you have your Akira Kurosawa episode, but then you have an episode that celebrates fast action, which the story is serving. The ultimate test for me is seeing Rodriguez take on Book of Boba Fett, right? Because I'm like, how well are we gonna test this? And that opening trailer looks like, man, this looks like a mob movie.
Yeah.
Like this is not feeling like Star Wars, but in doing that, it's even better than Star Wars because we're gonna go places that I didn't expect Star Wars to go.
Well, that
And
was
it's
the
still Star
beauty.
Wars.
That was the beauty of Rogue One. You know, that was the beauty of those other movies, the you know, in the franchise. That just and say what you want, Solo did the same, right? Like it was what it was.
I liked Solo.
I did too.
You can put that movie on. I'll watch it all day, every day. I just didn't think that they really needed to do it. That's all. I would have preferred something else.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed him.
I mean,
Lando.
I would argue that was the failure of Solo. Is Solo very much, you could see it wanted to be like a kind of like a fun heist movie thing.
Yeah.
And then just like it kept getting dragged back to having to be part of the Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's
Every time
why.
that happened, it would just screech to a stop, and you'd feel it be like,
Yep. Honestly, and that is why I'm so happy that now, you know, we have Mandalorian, we have other stuff that really veers away from the Skywalker saga, where you can have fun, you can take a look at the galaxy and the different things that are happening, and you don't have to worry about what's happening with the Skywalkers anymore. Like that's its thing. That been there, done that, and we're over it.
And then Mandalorian brings Skywalker in.
I was waiting for you guys to say that, but like, you know.
Yeah, I know. But that's a light touch, in my opinion.
Hopefully.
To your point.
Right. And then
hopefully.
We'll see what happens. And as I'm saying this, all I'm thinking about is, you know, the Obi-Wan show. How that is going to touch on the Skywalker saga.
Yep, because we're talking Darth Vader and Hayden Christensen.
Yep.
They confirmed it. So I don't know. It looks like it's going to be another Skywalker story. And, you know, they're building that, but also rumored, or at least in the concept art that Disney promoted,
I was going to ask
there
about
is the Inquisitor from Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean, like, there's a lot of concept art that's done up. Like, originally Stormtroopers had lightsabers. So don't hang your hat on her being involved. But they have pretty much confirmed that Inquisitors are a component of Obi-Wan. So it's there's going to be this inevitable, you know, Ewan McGregor's hinting at it, that he's going to face off against, you know, Hayden at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know in what capacity. But they got to tread carefully now, because the lightsaber battle in Star Wars was very underwhelming.
Here's the thing. I can honestly see, because
what it was.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil and Tyler, but the whole point of that duel in A New Hope is the fact that this is the first time that they've faced off against each other since the last time, which was when Darth was, you know, burnt half to crisp. I can honestly see them recreating that battle to end the show.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Or
because of that reason. Because of what you just said a couple minutes ago, because the just the action, the intensity, you know, now lightsaber battles are so different, and it just looks so good compared to kind of like that more robotic, you know, first you hit me, then I hit you, and blah 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 blah, right? Like it's now, well, it's like it's more.
Let's face it, in that original Star Wars movie, David Prowse was pinned into that costume.
Yeah.
And as well, it was a symbolic fight.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan gave up his life in that
of
battle
course.
because he wanted to commune with the Force. My assumption is that if you watch Clone Wars, Qui-Gon Jinn visits Yoda from beyond the grave and teaches him how to commune with the Force after you've passed. And then my assumption was always in this Obi-Wan series of shows that was going to be a component.
Yeah.
That he's going to learn how to commune because he doesn't know how to do it, or we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's I'm figuring that's a shoehorn. But I expect any lightsaber battles to be between him and an Inquisitor.
Mhm.
And any confrontation with Hayden wouldn't be as much physical as it would be a mental battle somewhere in the Force.
Yeah.
Like the two of them, just because now we're talking about Rey and Kylo being able to bump wigglies in the Force, right? Like do whatever they do and interfere on each other's realities. So now we've got that precedent. So does it extend into this to try and give it more legitimacy within the Star Wars universe?
That makes total sense. That
Possibility.
makes absolute sense. And again,
Because then I think we get into Hayden outside of the costume.
yes.
I think we get into Hayden being more human and trying to display and counter that against the person that is Darth Vader. You know what I mean? Or showing the person that is Darth Vader and getting into that real dilemma. And that's the meat of Star Wars. It's always the redemption, right? It's always Luke achieving his father's redemption and all that kind of stuff. As little kids, that's what we walked away from. You don't have to give up on everybody. It's worth fighting for. Stuff like that. Like those are the cores of Star Wars.
Yep, exactly. Look, it's going to be interesting to kind of see where they go with this, but I'm really looking forward to that. And again, like I know I just said how happy I am that they are moving away from the Skywalker saga, but it is possible to kind of do this Obi-Wan show and touch on it a little bit, but still introduce new elements, new layers to Star Wars in this show. A show that I'm really looking forward to though is Ahsoka. Like that show to me right now, like it seems to be a continuation of the story from Rebels, from Clone Wars, from everything before, and we'll see what.
Which is an interesting new story that's not about the Skywalkers.
Sorry?
And it's an interesting new story, not about the Skywalkers.
That too,
that won't start production until March 2022. It won't be hitting Disney Plus until spring of 2023, we figure.
Yep.
Because it is about a year's worth of stuff around photography, around principle. I'd say one thing that I'm worried about in all this, in this celebration of Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and Andor, we've got a number of things coming up, and Boba Fett is, again, with all of these, maybe Andor is the only new person. Ahsoka's been hit with fans for a while. She's been the dredge of fans for a while too before that, but she's been around for a while and we've seen her grow and it's great to see. But I'm like, at some point, we're shelving the Patty Jenkins thing. That was an opportunity to introduce new people.
Yep.
And I'm worried about this with Star Wars. It's like, inner geek me, yeah, I love Boba Fett. I got Boba Fett's mask like 3 times. I love him. I loved him as a kid. I love him as an adult. And I'm gonna love the show. But I'm just like, I talked to my niece about it. She doesn't give a shit about Boba Fett.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because she's just like, he's only got like 7 minutes screen time. Like, you know what I mean? Or 3 minutes and 42 seconds screen time and 6 lines. Like, I don't understand you people. And I don't want to watch a show about it. And I'm like, that's an audience.
For sure. But Mandalorian was able to capture quite the audience with I'm not saying it's not Boba Fett, but its concepts were there.
Grogu. Come on.
I know exactly. That's what I mean. That's where I was going with this. You can't have these shows. You will be able to introduce a new player. new players in this game.
Yes.
Yeah, you have.
We get Fennec Shan, to that point. Yeah, you're right. Like there are people riding shotgun in this that could flourish.
Yeah, could. We'll see though. But yeah, there's just so much happening in Star Wars right now. December 29th, Book of Boba Fett comes out. Really looking forward to that. And then we'll see what 2022 brings in the world of Star Wars in that galaxy far, far away.
I'll be honest, like Disney Day, Disney Plus Day, whatever they called it. I predominantly walked away looking at social feeds and feeling like Star Wars fans got let down.
Oh, please. After last year? Come on.
I know.
Come on. Like
it's kind of funny because I'm like, just because they're being more careful with their products is because of you guys.
Exactly.
So you can't be upset when they back away from something because they go, "Oh, we don't know that the fan base is ready for this." Like, dial it down. Yeah, that's the right call.
Exactly.
But I'm excited for what is cooked.
Yeah. All right. The last thing I want to talk about is video games. We are about a year and a week into the next generation of Xbox, of PlayStation. Phil, how's your Xbox treating you? Your Xbox Series S?
The thing rocks. I made a recommendation to my niece's fiance where I'm like, if you had the opportunity to pick up an X or an X, I would strongly recommend an X. However, the S is very good. And probably for the same amount of money, because you're paying half, you can double the storage. So for the price of an X, you're getting a fairly robust system because as we all know, even with the PS5, it's getting tight in there. Game sizes are huge.
Yeah.
Forza 5 was 130 gigabytes.
Holy.
And counting.
Jesus.
That's
isn't crazy.
Even the expansions.
That's absolutely crazy.
That's like half of my hard drive on the SSD that's in there.
That is unfreaking real. But have you seen in terms of performance on these next gen games where the S can't keep up?
No, not at all. But that being said, I am really excited if Guardians of the Galaxy ever gets on the Game Pass, even for a month, because then I can pit it head to head against the PS5. I will say this, going back to the PS5, the controller is outstanding.
Right.
It's still, and the graphics are outstanding. There's a new patch actually for Guardians, Tyler, to turn on ray tracing on the PS5.
Yeah. I've already beaten it though, and I'm not going back to it yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But when you do, you can advise as to maybe how much better it is.
Yeah.
With the Xbox, sorry guys, they released a new controller. I've got a Horizon controller. It's the first one ever with rubber grips on the handles.
Pretty close to the trans flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's actually see-through.
Ooh.
Oh my god. We have to tell. It's almost the trans flag and it's the pan flag. The gamers are gonna be pissed.
Oh yeah. I think someone did that on purpose.
You see, this is the regular Series X and S controller. It's hard to see on the camera, but they're textured plastic. It's textured plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So anyhow, they're playing in that space. They're trying to make their controllers better. I haven't seen the S chug out, but that being said, I don't know what resolution it's doing anymore. Like when I'm watching a movie, it's 4K. When I'm gaming and the game supports 4K, it shows to me that it's 4K, but I've seen some stuff online where they're like dropping down to like 720 and maybe there's some frame rate issues, but it's Forza 5 is being pretty good and I'm playing it at 60 frames per second. It seems to be consistently highly up there, but some of the draw distances are a bit hampered, but not to the point where you can't play.
Yeah. Interesting.
If I put my technical hat on.
Yeah. Tyler, what are you playing right now? Like, how's your experience with the PS5 a year in?
I mean, I'm still loving it. I think the biggest complaint I have with the PS5 is one that a lot of people are having of like a lot of the stuff I'm excited for keeps getting delayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it indefinitely. Like I tore through Guardians really quickly. I really enjoyed that. I loved Deathloop.
Deathloop, yeah.
Deathloop was a lot of fun. I thought the writing was actually pretty darn clever. And it really rewards you for paying attention. It didn't feel like a next gen game, but it was just like, this is just a solid game. But yeah, Returnal still remains the only game that feels next generation. And honestly, right now, I picked up The Witcher for PS4, like the full one, and I'm playing through that in the PS5 now.
Nice. That's not a bad thing there.
Oh no, working my way through.
There's that, you're bang on about the delays, because we got the new Horizon game that's coming out, I guess, in February next year. Hopefully that doesn't
Allegedly.
get pushed.
Apparently.
And then there's that Stray game, or that Cats game, right? I'm really excited about that.
Stray looks really interesting. There's
What's that?
God of War Ragnarok, which is supposed to be late 2022. There's Elden Ring, which I am like, given how games have gone recently, I'm willing to put money on it's crap.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews from the open beta, or from the closed beta.
Yeah. So I read the Kotaku review of it, and they're like, "Will it change open game?" I'm like, no. But like the beta area had so much density, and they wouldn't just like put a bunch of stuff in there. And I'm like, yeah, they would. That's how every fucking demo of these games works.
Yep, exactly.
We also got Forspoken, which I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for that, but that one has my attention. It is like a lady from our world gets sucked into like some sort of grim, fucked up, and from the little bits we've seen from trailers, like it looks like during gameplay, you're having like your character at least do like scavenging shit to figure out how to survive, and getting some sort of magical.
Yeah,
it looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
and there's some other stuff that's like now it's like someday, like the new vampire game is back to TBD.
Yeah, and even I think the new Saints Row game got pushed.
Yeah,
a game
should have been pushed. I mean, Grand Theft Auto trilogy.
Oh God, that's terrible. That's a dumpster fire.
I'm hearing horrible things about that. Like absolutely horrible things about that.
Yeah, just like the Nintendo Switch Online expansion.
Yeah. So
not only is that expensive, but it's crap.
Yeah. I was gonna message you about that, Phil. I'm gonna say I'm not upgrading our plan because we have a family plan. We're brothers.
Nice.
So we're on the family plan.
Yeah.
So I'm not touching that upgrade until it's like, those N64 and Sega games are playable.
Yeah, mine actually got me to cancel. I canceled my plan entirely because of.
Oh, there you go. Hey, do you want to be part of my family? Do you want to be my brother too?
I don't know enough of how the family plans work for that.
All you have to do is send me your email.
Oh, okay.
It's not hard.
Well, it's one of those things of like, I don't know. You don't want it to be like Steam where it's like, now we're committed to this.
Yeah, no. It's the easiest thing ever. But yeah, cool. So man, delays.
Yeah, your purchases still go to you.
Yeah.
So you can log in, you can buy whatever game or whatever.
I didn't want to accidentally buying stuff on Boris's credit card. Boris is like, why are there so many weird indie games?
No, it's just like literally just the online, like it just gives you the online access through a shared account.
Oh, awesome.
And I think Nintendo's pretty good. They give you like 9 slots.
Yeah.
Well, think about a family, right? Who plays Nintendo?
No, totally.
Family with a lot of kids, so it kind of makes sense, right? And it's the regular plan is 65 Canadian a year. 55 Canadian a year.
Yeah.
So.
And this new plan is garbage.
Yeah. So so there we go. But yeah, talking about delays in video games, it's like, we've talked about this for the past year and a half. This is what's going to happen. And I think that after the Cyberpunk 2077 experience, we're going to be seeing a lot more delays. And these publishers are not going to give a shit that things are delayed. Because I think, hopefully, they're going to be a lot more careful about what they release. Look at Halo.
Look at Halo.
Look at Halo.
Man.
Having said
I
that,
Craig-
I know that
Craig
it's-
looks good now. Craig looks good.
Having said that, I know that there's still
Mm-hmm.
going to be major fuck ups and make some games that are just going to have the, the cyberpunk experience, as we're gonna call it, moving forward, right? Like it's just, but like, I think publishers are just being incredibly careful at this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's that whole consumerism thing too, right? Like, I would even I hesitate to say the cyberpunk thing. It's the most recently wounded.
Oh yeah.
Wound that we have, but you could just call it the Bethesda thing.
Yeah.
Like, that company has made a career out of releasing tragically broken games and fixing them on the fly.
I mean,
As
I
was
got a
Ubisoft.
meme up right here. That's the thing from GTA San Andreas. And it's like, I caught up in the money, the power.
Yeah.
And it's CD Projekt Red, Rockstar, Bethesda, EA Sports, all these games launching just broken.
It's Rockstar's. Yeah, I guess they're the newest.
Mhm.
But God forbid what happens when GTA 6 comes out.
It won't be coming out. Let's be honest.
No, another 20 years.
It'll never happen.
It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to.
Oh, there's so many rumors, though. There's so many rumors. It's just crazy, right?
I don't know. I don't know how they entirely do it, but the Rockstar fan base will obsess over nothing.
Yeah.
Like, they're almost as bad as the FNAF fan base for just like, they'll make up their own. You don't have to write shit. They'll just write it for you.
No, 100%. It's how can you have a video game that you can play on 3 generations of systems and still be released?
Legitimately, this is like a major problem I think we're starting to like really butt up against.
Mhm.
And I think it's combined with that, and combined with, sorry to go like a little more topical, but like, we're in the middle of like one of the biggest periods of labor unrest
Yes.
in history.
Yeah.
And like, frickin' John Deere got brought to its knees this week.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
like, and like in my industry, a tabletop RPG company, the Game Designers Union.
That's crazy.
Like, it's like the shit's on the move, and like, I don't know, the video game industry is bananas large, right? Like, it makes more money than movies.
Yep, exactly. It's the biggest form of entertainment in the world. Period.
And where that money's going is so fucked up most of the time.
Yep.
Right? Like, if you're the Stardew Valley guy, where I think it's him, it's just like, you basically made this entire game yourself. You get every goddamn dollar. I'm not mad at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's when it's like your CD Projekt Red, where developers are like dying, like they're killing themselves, and management is bringing home $500,000.
Oh, let's not even touch Blizzard.
Yeah.
Or
Right?
Activision.
Blizzard's a whole separate.
That's been a disgusting show to watch from the
Been crazy.
sidelines. Like, it's to the point now. I never want to touch, like, not never. I can't say never, but I just don't want to support their games right now because it's just so messed up.
Yep.
I mean, the thing is, long-term, statistically, long-term, what is it called? Oh my God, brain fart. Boycotting doesn't work. Because no one, like, most people can keep it up. But if you see them trying to unionize and tactical ones, that's real important.
Yes.
And, be tactical.
I want them to sort that industry out. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
A game is so much better than a movie, right? And that's what we all figured out as gamers.
Yep.
And that's the thing. My dad still wants to sit down and watch a movie for 2 hours, have it be a complete story and entertain him. Whereas I'm like, hey, look, those Guardians of the Galaxy games or movies were pretty good, but damn, that game blew my mind because I got to do things as Peter Quill. I got to experience things and get to know characters in a different way than anything that you can just flip on a screen and try to force down my eyeballs. So it's where the shit's at, but you gotta just like the movie industry is unionized. You have safety procedures and rules about, people's health
Or
and
alcohol will
conduct.
kill someone.
Yeah.
That's a whole other can of worms. We're not opening on today's episode.
Keeping it light.
Yep, keeping it light on a return. Keeping it light on a return. But yeah, no, like, to Tyler's point, yeah, like seeing what's happening in the industry, in the various industries, especially, like, these geek industries, these geek focused industries like video games and movies and everything. We're in a very interesting time to kind of see where all of this goes, and like, especially video games, is because there's a lot of consumer eyes on video games. And I think that with video games, because it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's different than movies. So
yeah, because like, look at this whole pandemic. You take a movie and you make it a spectacle previous to the pandemic, and then you cashed in on that. And then you cashed in on putting it in front of home eyeballs. The video game industry's already evolved beyond that. They are into directly cashing in on your eyeballs at home. They don't need the premieres. They don't need the cash cow. They need the splash, the marketing, and the substance. And everybody's willing to fork over $100 of their money to do it.
Mhm.
Sight unseen, chance being taken. Why do you think gamers get upset when a game shits the bed?
Yep.
Right? Because when we get told that we're going to get something and we don't get it, that's another whole nother aspect to all this.
To that point, Phil,
ripping off the customer.
To that point, gamers also need to keep some realism and realistic expectations with certain things.
Yep.
I mean, I would actually predict that in the next 5 to 10 years in the gaming industry, I don't disagree, but it's always really hard to be like, hey, culture, change.
Yeah.
I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see, largely driven by originally European countries, you're going to see a honesty and advertising requirement for video games.
Yeah.
And you're going to see waves of union.
With more eyes, with more attention on video games, as people are noticing how big this industry is, I think you're 100% bang on, Tyler.
Yep.
And I also think the unions, in part, are going to be, one of their big pushes is going to be profit sharing off of projects you work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like most creative industries. Like, if your shit does well, you usually get a bonus.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. I agree.
Well, you know what? You guys aren't getting bonuses. So with that said, Phil, tell our listeners how they can get a hold of us. Do you remember how to do this?
Well, I kind of remember. Just don't go watch Lower Deck Season 2, please. But if you want to complain to us about our unloving attitudes on Lower Decks, you can find us at www.itscanonpodcast.com. You can track us down on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at It's Canon Podcast. You can email us at show@itscanonpodcast.com. You can subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you find podcasts. You're going to find the It's Canon Podcast. And if you like what you hear, please be sure to give us a subscribe and get notified on when we regularly program episodes for you. And leave a rate and review if the platform allows it. And tell your friends, because, hey, we're going to have some Halo stuff coming up. We're going to be talking about Tyler's Kickstarter. And we're going to finally get to the bottom of this opera business.
Exactly. Thanks so much for that, Phil.
What's that?
We gotta. I need to be sent those entries so we can finish that content.
Yes, I do. I need to forward those. With that said, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the It's Canon Podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things geek, the podcast where we talk about all things pop culture and nerd. And guys, the best part of it all is that it's all in canon. He's Phil, he's Tyler, I'm Boris. The show is the It's Canon Podcast. Thank you for listening, and until next time, goodbye.
We're back.
Until next time, remember that the CEO of City Project Red got a $4.2 million bonus for 2020. What?